right. Good evening, everybody, to the planning board meeting of February the 24th. I move that we open the planning board meeting for February the 24th at the time of 7:01. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Steph?
Aye.
Brett?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Rob?
Aye.
Rob, and I am an aye as well. Our agenda this evening, are there any items not anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of this meeting? Hearing none, I'll move on to the agenda items. We'll be reviewing the minutes of February the 10th. We have a hearing at 7 o'clock, a continuation of 65 Farm Road Common Driveway Special Permit for 3 driveways. And at 7:30, we have a continuation of the hearing for additions and amendments to the Sherborn General Bylaw, Chapter 200, Stormwater Management, and the Sherborn Zoning Bylaw, Chapter 240, Section 3.2, Schedule of Use, 243.2, Table of Uses, and 243.3, Living Accommodation, non-residential buildings. For current planning board business, after the hearings, we will have a discussion on annual town meeting timeline and warrant articles. And then we'll end that with reports on meetings with other boards and entities and town planner report. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as read? I make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jim?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Brett?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Thank you. Okay. Seeing that it's 7:03, I move that we continue the hearing of 65 Farm Road Common Driveway Special Permit for 3 driveway. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Steph?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Brett?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, if Heidi, if you wouldn't mind kicking us off with what you would like to start with and where you would like for us to go.
Sure. So I think the planning board had its discussion, and we were waiting for the time period to see if any other town boards had comments. We did not receive any further comments from town boards. I did receive another email tonight that they have asked to submit as comments that I'm going to read, so it will be part of the public record. And if anyone wants to have discussion on it, we can. But then I want to review conditions if we are moving forward, and then to have a final vote on this. So the email is from Mary and Brian Moore. And Mary said, Brian and I would like to share the following comments in advance of tonight's continued discussion on the special permit application for 65 Farm Road. As abutters, we do not support the issuance of the special permit. Below are our comments and questions. Number 1, clarification request. Can you confirm that this application is for a common driveway special permit for 3 building lots and not for 3 separate driveways as currently stated on the agenda? Agenda reads 7 o'clock, continuation of 65 Farm Road, common driveway, special permit for 3 driveways. The wording is unclear, so we want to ensure we understand the intent. Number 2, permit limitation. We request that the special permit include clear language limiting its use to the creation of a 3rd building lot with a single family home. Number 3, condition on future lot line changes. We ask that the planning board consider adding a condition stating that any future changes to a dominant or servient parcel lot lines would require a new special permit. Number 4, time limit. We request that the special permit include a 2-year limit to ensure there's clear time frame for completion of construction. Thank you, Brian and Mary Moore, 49 Farm Road. Now, it's up to the chairs and the planning board. Do you want to just go through and address these items individually?
Yes, I think that would be a good thing to do one at a time. So let's do number 1, which was the issue of, is it 3 driveways or is it 1 driveway with 3 homes?
Right. So the decision is going to be listing the 3 building lots on the A&R, which is 3B, 5B, and number 6. So it should be very clear which parcels are included for the common driveway.
So thank you to Brian and Mary for pointing that out. That will be resolved in the actual verbiage that will follow this. Okay. Item 2, permit limitations. We request that the special permit include clear language limiting its use to the creation of a third building lot with a single family home.
Can we do that, Heidi? Can we limit the third,
When
the
I
building
don't
lot?
see, I don't think we can limit any type of building. And then are you also going to say an ADU or not ADU? I think this is strictly for a common driveway. All we're talking about is access and what parcels are being given the rights on this. I don't think it's our job to talk about what the buildings can and can't contain, or the lots can and can't contain in this special permit. It's not meant to address that.
At our last meeting and hearing on this topic, you discussed very clearly the items that we could rule on, and that was not one of them.
Yeah.
However, it would be very difficult for them to, other than an ADU, to put something up there with a driveway and meet the frontage.
Right. And
Frank, can I just point out that what you're issuing, hopefully tonight, is a permit for the driveway to serve 3 homes. Were the driveway, if somebody in the future, and this is just extremely unlikely, wanted that driveway to serve more than 3 homes, they would come back before you and make that request, and you would deliberate and make a decision. In other words, there's no way the driveway, without further deliberation by this board, can serve 4 homes. And so I think that, you're protected in that way. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that input.
does the board want to have any further discussion about it, or are you comfortable with the way we're moving forward on it?
Jim,
I'm
do you have any
comfortable.
other comments on number 2, item 2, the building?
Or you think it's out of our jurisdiction?
And this very specifically clears out that is for 3 lots.
It says for serving 3 homes, right? I think that's the distinction that. So is it serving 3 lots, or is it serving 3 dwelling units is the question, I think. I'm just
Right,
trying to be clear because
right. I can see where that is, but we're saying that, and because we have an ADU, which is accessory dwelling, we're saying that this serves 3 lots, and we're saying which parcels are being served by the common driveway.
yeah, I don't think we can restrict what the owner of any one of those lots can do in the future. That feels like an overreach of a special permit for a driveway, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think the ADU point is certainly valid.
Yeah.
Fred, any thoughts? Any comments you'd like to make?
No, I mean, I think I think that's a good point, that if in the future somebody wanted to make if they wanted to make a change to what's there, they would need to come before the board. And if the permit, but Heidi, actually, could you clarify for me? Because I thought that, I know that it serves 3 properties and it's deed restricted to 3 properties.
Mhm.
And they're single family, even if it was an ADU, it would still be a single family home.
I don't want to put the term single family home on it, because then
Right.
someone's going to say, well, you know, this is being rented out. That's actually, it's ADUs essentially are creating 2-family possibilities. So
Yeah.
this is in a residential A district, which is primarily single-family homes. I mean, then we don't have multifamilies or other options to do that.
Right.
And what this is meant to be is a common drive to access these lots.
3 properties. Okay.
Yeah.
I think just as long as we're clear that this is to serve the 3 properties. I mean, I guess, yeah,
I don't think you can
I
say
think that's clear, and you're
what-
right. We wouldn't, that doesn't, yeah. Yeah.
And I just looked up the bylaws, which say that it's 2 or more building lots. It's lots, not
lots.
buildings and not dwelling units.
All right.
Good, thank you, Steph. Rob, do you have any further thoughts or comments?
Not on the 3-lot issue. I think that's clear.
All right, let's move on to item number 3 then. Conditions on future lot line changes. And I'll just read it again. We ask that the planning board consider adding a condition stating that any future changes to a dominant or servient parcel lot line would require a new special permit.
And my concern is moving lot lines is an approval not required or subdivision. It's moving lot lines is not part of a common driveway, the
Right.
special permit here.
And that would require coming back to the planning board anyway.
Right.
But it would require coming back to the planning board for an A&R, right? In
Right.
which we have no leverage to say we're declining your A&R because or invalidating the special permit for the driveway because the lot lines are being moved. That feels like it's already been built, right?
That's-
Yeah.
The driveway at that point.
I wouldn't
again,
feel comfortable I wouldn't feel comfortable adding anything in about changes to lot lines under the special permit. But,
Yeah, I agree. It's either an A&R or a subdivision.
yeah.
Any other comments, Rob, Brett?
Nope.
Okay, and the last item is time limit. We request that the special permit include 2-year limit to ensure that there is a clear time frame for the completion of construction.
So this is something that I had looked up, and I was going to add that this special permit shall be recorded within 60 days following the expiration of the appeal period, because I don't want that to be something that hangs out forever. So I think we should have something in to say this needs to be timely recorded. Some towns do say something, and completion of construction is kind of hard to say that you're going to finish something in 2 years, but some say that the rights granted shall lapse if not exercised within. The question is going to be, what is exercised? Is putting the driveway in considered exercise? This is up for planning board discussion, how much you want to do. You can go up to 3 years on a special permit, but I think completion of construction, seeing how I've seen some of the projects go right now, is difficult.
So, Heidi, just a special permit for a driveway like this is like a building permit. You need the special permit for construction. It's not something you have to maintain afterwards, like the Odessa plant does.
Right. And if they pull a building permit, that has to be used within a certain time period.
Mhm.
Though that expires, but this is something that is deed recorded. However, that doesn't mean it's permanent all the time. You can have that something is, you can put in a lapse period. I've seen some other towns do it. I don't know if if it needs to be in there or not.
Do we have any sense for why the timeline is being requested? Like, what is the benefit to the neighbors to have a timeline?
Since they're not here to say, it's hard to predict. I mean, I would think that something like this, if they're looking to ensure that only a single family home is being built, that's the only thing I could think of is why you'd want to say you'd want to have a completion of construction. But again, is it completion of construction of the driveway, which is what we're going to talk on, which it's already has 2 homes in there it's already done a 2-home common driveway. So the only section that's really left to be built is going to be to that back lot.
So we asked for input from the person who's going to be working on this, building it.
Sure. Thank you, Frank. I guess what I would say, I'm also, I think it was Steph who asked the question about or why the neighbors are asking for this. My best guess is they want to somehow push that the houses be built immediately. It's not clear to me why the construction of a house, again, if you go back to your rules, it's about serving lots. And so therefore, I think Heidi's point is correct, which is that the common driveway is really almost entirely built. There might be another 20 feet of it additional to get to the property line with lot 6. But what you're issuing a permit for is to access 3 different lots. And why you would want to regulate at the same time when a house gets built. For example, I know Gary's planning on building the house on lot 6 right away. But he has the idea of building a barn. And I mean, does that need to be, in other words, you just get into some kind of weird regulatory places when you're regulating a common driveway, and then you're talking about the construction of the houses and those timelines. So I'm not really sure kind of what that it's the right place for you to regulate that. I know that a building permit, Heidi is correct, has I believe it's a 1 year period that it can be that it needs to be exercised. Otherwise, it does expire. So anyway, I have no problem with you insisting that the driveway be completed within some timeline. That seems reasonable for you to insist on that or to ask for that. But with regard to the construction of the homes, it seems like it's a bit unrelated, or at least only a little related, I guess I would say.
Thank
And
you.
Heidi, just to clarify the language, when you said completion of construction within 2 years, was that referring to the driveway or referring to the home?
It does not say
It
it.
doesn't say, and that's what
Okay.
I was only wondering, because most of it's already built, why would they bring this up? And the only thing I can think of is if they're trying to, especially the comments before about wanting only have the creation of a 3rd building lot with a single family home. We're only guessing at what the intent was for writing
Yeah.
this.
Okay. I mean, if Bob, I guess just a sort of a friendly question to you, like, would you have any concerns about putting in a 2-year time limit for the construction of the driveway to be completed?
No, I think that's very reasonable stuff.
So
Don't have an issue with that.
if we have an abutter asking for it, the planning board is sort of ambivalent, the builder is fine with it, I'm fine to put it in.
Yeah.
And maybe word it in a way. Shall we go to the special permit language and we can?
That's, if we finished this discussion, I was
Yeah.
going to go over the conditions.
Yeah, before we do that, right, I want to allow and open it up unless there are any further board questions or comments on any of this. Are there?
Well, I'd just say that until Bob, speculated about this issue, I was just interpreting construction as construction of the driveway. And I wasn't thinking this was meant that, oh, you have to complete all construction on all 3 lots. That does seem a little bit unrelated. So I'm in favor of saying, yes, complete the construction of the driveway within 1 year or 2 years, whatever the board wants. Sounds good to me.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I would agree with Rob.
And Brad was shaking her head, yes, okay.
I think it's related to the driveway construction, not the vertical structures.
Okay. All right, are there any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, I'd like to open it up to the rest of the viewing audience. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of this discussion? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the board and Heidi, you want to bring us to the next part of this?
Sure. So I
We'll
sent,
close this, I'm sorry, but we're closing the topics of the comments on this letter and we're going on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So I had sent a draft around of what I was looking for writing up the decision. So essentially, I'm going to have a section on the procedural history, and then the findings that what we've determined, I'll just read the findings. The application was complete and filed in appropriate manner, certified abutters list received, all costs paid. Application was posted as required. Notices given to abutters, town boards, and neighboring towns. Applicant discussed any concerns with police chief, fire chief, and DPW director. No town boards submitted comments. Public comments were addressed during public hearings, which I feel we've done now with this one. Public hearing was held within the statutory timeframe from filing. And then whatever we vote to do tonight with conditions on to 24-26. And then on our decision and conditions, we voted tonight to whatever, if it's approve or disapprove the special permit for common driveway to serve lots 3B, 5B, and 6 at 65 Farm Road as submitted with the following conditions. Number 1, common driveway layout will follow the layout shown on the A&R plan dated 2/3/26, recorded at the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds, book 2026, page 64.
Heidi, would it be helpful for me to share my screen so people can look as you're reading?
Sure.
Okay.
That the plan, yeah. The common driveway will serve lots 3B, 5B, and 6 as identified on the A&R plan dated 2/3/26. And I think that's the plan. Okay, going along with this, yep. Driveway permit from DPW to reflect fire chief's request for 15-foot wide driveway and turnaround for 6. I can say lot 6 on that. With signature from fire chief. Easements, maintenance agreements, and deed restrictions to be re-recorded for lots 3B, 4B, 5B, and 6 as necessary for this 3-lot special permit common driveway. Final deed recordings and signed driveway permit to be submitted to the planning board. And here I was going to say, special permit shall be recorded within 60 days following the expiration of the appeal period or final adjudication of any appeal. And then Steph already ahead of me with this. Rights granted shall lapse if construction of common driveway is not complete within 2 years of issuance.
And we can put this anywhere. I don't know why I put it second to last. It seems like this was final. This was like after the construction, so it felt like sequential to me, but we can put it anywhere. It makes sense to put it.
Yeah.
That looks fine. That's great. Right, 2 cents.
Does anyone have any other comments about the findings or the decision conditions?
Yeah, the only thing that I would add, and I touched on this before, was that the turnaround wasn't shown on the common driveway layout, and maybe that should be noted.
Oh, the 15-foot wide also wasn't shown, right? So
It is.
I think
and not labeled 15 foot is what you're saying.
I think it was like, if I remember correctly, there was like an error in the width of how it was shown. Let me pull up the plan.
You're correct. You're correct, Steph. It
Okay.
showed 12 feet wide, but I'm fine with you making the condition that it be 15 feet wide. That's what Zach Ward wants it to be.
So just say that these are not presently or not shown on the A&R plan dated. Is that what you're suggesting?
Sure, that's fine. Yeah. And the other thing, to Jim's point, the turnaround is shown. It's a hammerhead turnaround.
Yeah.
Up at lot 6. The hammerhead.
Let me share the plan if that's okay with folks, just so that everyone can be on the same page. So
Not trying to be difficult, it's just an important element that
I think this is
I missed it when I looked at
this is the turnaround here. Is that right,
You're not
Bob?
sharing it
We don't
yet.
see it.
Oh, shoot. I have to click one more time. Okay. Now I have to move this floating bar around so that you guys, okay, so is it this, that's the
Yeah.
turnaround?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Um,
And Zach Ward has reviewed that. But you're absolutely right, Steph, that the piece of the driveway going from lot 5 up, or really across lot 5, if you will, because that's the common driveway, is shown at scaled at 12 feet, but that will in fact be 15 feet. And I would ask that you just note that as a condition, that change.
so something like that.
You have to get out of this one and go back to the other document.
We're still looking
Uh,
at the map.
Oh, I forget that Zoom does that to me. Sorry. Let's see, share this again. So 15-foot wide driveway. Driveway permit from DPW to should instead of
Meet the requirements.
shall meet.
Yeah.
Well, so this is a wording question for you, Heidi.
Yep.
DPW is going to issue a driveway permit, and you're
Yes,
saying DPW should also reflect these requirements?
yes, the driveway permit should request that, should have that in.
Can we say shall include?
Yeah. And you might want to say not shown to scale on the A&R plan, because it is shown on the A&R plan, just not to the 15-foot scale.
That makes sense, Eddie.
Well, I wouldn't use the word request. I would say requirement, right?
Well, she
Yeah.
says shall, Rob, shall include. Shall is a requirement, right?
Well, the permit should say, I'm requesting this, but it doesn't say yeah, I mean, it's technically, I mean, Bob, I know you're not, I know you're gonna do it. I'm not worried, but it's just, it is a requirement of our permit that it ends up 15 feet wide.
Absolutely.
If you go to the paragraph in the introduction, can I just look at that? What Heidi wrote
What,
was something,
how far back am I going?
I don't know. Where does your comments begin, Heidi?
Under
Reading.
findings and it was under lists under decisions. Yeah, that's all procedural, like what was done. Findings was the steps were being met.
So the only thing I didn't hear, and I don't know if it was in there, is says it's public comments and hearing of statutory timeframes, and you stated other boards, but you didn't state that we also received written comments, and those were included.
Okay, I just said public comments were addressed. So public and written comments were addressed?
Because yes, because public, my thought would be that they were just ones that were here.
Spoken and written, that's fine, yep.
Okay. All right. That looks good. Steph, you good with that? Rob,
Sure.
Jim,
Yes.
Brett?
Nothing for me.
All right, then I move that we accept the hang on, go back to this.
So you need to approve a special permit.
To approve the special permit with conditions as written and submitted on the evening of February the 24th, 2026.
No, Frank,
for-
sorry, excuse me, as discussed, not as submitted.
As discussed on February the 24th, 2026, on the 65 Farm Road Common Driveway special permit for special permit.
Why don't we say it's list out specifically 3B, 3B, 5B, and 6. We'll list the lots specifically on it.
The driveway for lots 3B.
5B, and 6 at 65 Farm Road.
Okay. It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor Steph,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Brett. You're muted, Brett. You still muted. You have a thumbs up. Okay, we got a thumbs up from Brett, and I, Frank Hookham, and I as well. So it's 5-0 in favor of this permit with conditions.
And a motion to close the hearing.
And now I make a motion to close the hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor? Steph,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Brett, Jim,
Aye.
and I, Frank Hookham, and I as well. This public hearing is now closed.
Frank,
Thank
I just want to say thank you all very much, and I apologize for being off camera tonight. I'm having some technical difficulties, but thank you.
Well, thank you for being here and providing some of answers to our questions.
Great.
Good luck.
And
Thank
then
you.
right into the next hearing.
Seeing that the time is 7:32 p.m., I would like to continue it. Would like to continue the hearing on the addition and amendments to the Sherborn General Bylaws, Chapter 200, Stormwater Management, and the Sherborn Zoning Bylaws, Chapter 240, Section 3.2, Schedule of Uses, 243.2, Table of Uses, and 243.3, Living Accommodation in Non-Residential Buildings. So, do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jim,
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Brett? Thumbs up, Brett.
Aye. I got it back on.
Okay. Steph?
Aye.
And I, Frank Hookham, and I as well. All right. We'll let Heidi take us away on this one as well.
Okay, so we will continue the hearing we started out discussing, and we have since received a letter from Jonathan Hodson Walker, who I see is here right now. And Jonathan, do you want me to read your letter of comments into the record, or would you like to speak it?
Sure, you can read it right into the record. That's great.
Okay, all right. So the Planning Board, Town of Sherborn, 19 Washington Street, Sherborn, Mass. 01770, February 11th, 2026. Dear members of the Planning Board, this is to request that the following change be made to the proposed zoning bylaw amendments related to MS4 discharges and land disturbance. Under section E1, as shown below, we request that the word normal, quote unquote, be deleted. Commonwealth of Massachusetts laws adequately define what constitutes agricultural activities and land and agricultural use, and there is no reason to introduce a quote unquote normal qualifier. This will impose an unreasonable and unnecessary burden on agricultural operations in the town of Sherborn in dealing with whatever arbitrary notion of the members of the planning board or the zoning board of appeals determine is quote unquote normal in relation to agricultural activities. And then the strike through of planning board amended 42527, he has the section struck through on number 5. And then next section E that we're showing as exemptions, the following activities shall be exempt from the requirement for a stormwater management permit. And number 1 currently lists normal maintenance and improvement of land and agricultural use as defined by MGL Chapter 128, Section 1A. And number 2, maintenance of existing landscaping, gardens, or lawn areas. Thank you for your attention to this request. Sincerely, Jonathan and Lisa Hodson Walker. So, Steph, I don't know if you want to bring up that section. This
Yeah,
is,
I'd be glad to do that.
yeah, the stormwater was enacted around 2011, 2012. And this language actually has been in there since then because this is the first time we're touching it.
So it's this language that's in question, and I think that Mr. Hasenwacher has suggested removing the word normal to avoid a situation where determining what is normal maintenance or normal improvement is not a subjective determination.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks. So we've done a little more research MGL Chapter 128, Section 1A only defined agricultural use. But we did come across a different state document that actually uses these exact words: normal maintenance of land in agricultural use and normal improvement of land in agricultural use, and lays out some very detailed definitions of what that is. So this is where these terms are defined. And I'm hopeful that this creates a situation where it doesn't become an ambiguous decision of any town body, but it's actually defined here in the CMR as far as what normal maintenance of land what would constitute normal maintenance of land. And then I'm going to scroll down here. I know it's too fast to read it, but continuing down here is normal improvement of land.
You know, you're only showing what are things. If you're looking at CMR, not
Am
being
I still
shown.
showing the?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I keep forgetting that I have to stop. And I'm sorry about that.
So we say scrolling down. I'm like, yeah, we're not scrolling down.
Okay, so in the CMR,
It's not
there is a definition. Oh,
Still not sharing.
still not. Okay, yep, have to click it 3 times. Okay.
It's coming now.
I'm usually on it with this stuff. It's like, all right. Normal maintenance of land and agricultural use, and it's very there's a very detailed explanation of what falls under that definition. I'll go on for 3 pages here, 4 pages, and then 5 pages. And then there's another definition of normal improvement of land and agricultural use. And again, it's very specific about what is considered a normal improvement. So the proposal is to, and I'm going to stop sharing now I've learned my lesson, and reshare the bylaw. Share the bylaw. Is to actually leave this word normal in here, because normal maintenance of land and agricultural use and normal improvement of land and agricultural use is defined very clearly here, and to change the reference to point to this document instead of the chapter that defines agricultural use. So that's the proposal on the table for the planning board to consider, because we had talked about maybe softening or changing this term to routine or customary or something like that. But I actually think now having this document in hand, leaving it as normal, actually brings more clarity to what is intended here.
Any thoughts by anybody else on the planning board? Rob?
Just to make it totally specific, you might add the word normal, say normal maintenance and normal improvement.
Steph was saying that this was the wording exactly as it was
Yeah.
under the 310 CMR 10.04.
No, yeah, that is fine too. That works well for me, because it's normal maintenance of land and agricultural use and then normal improvement of land and agricultural use.
Okay.
So that is more specific.
Okay. Rob, anything else?
No.
Jim?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I know that agricultural uses have a lot of protections, but if we're incorporating the standard by reference to 310 CMR 10.04, and that makes it very clear what a normal maintenance or normal improvement would be, then I don't have any exceptions to that.
Brett?
No, I think this is a good solution.
Okay, let me take it to outside. I'd like to start with Jonathan. You have any inputs on that?
I do. So that CMR 10.04 is related to environmental protection. And that's where that definition comes from. Our preference, or I guess I'll speak on the behalf of the farm here, but maybe from the agricultural community, is we would prefer the 128 section 1A definition with the word normal removed. If you're insistent on referencing 310 1004 CMR understand that. But again, I'm not a lawyer, but to me, that seems like it's a definition that's been pulled from the environmental protection regs. And we had recent experience with some of the zoning regulations where definitions were pulled from different areas that weren't necessarily relevant to the farming activity. So our preference is the original language, less the word normal. If you guys are insistent on including it in this way, we understand. But again, that definition is specifically around environmental protection.
May I respond, Frank?
Please.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. But I also feel like part of what we're trying to do with the stormwater bylaw does center around protection of the environment and pollutants that come from stormwater. So I think that there's more of a nexus, that there is a nexus with environmental protection. And so I feel that this is a very clear path. My concern about removing the word normal altogether is that it just becomes improvement of land and agricultural use. Well, improvement without a qualifier is unchecked improvement. And I don't want that to be, if you were to take an entire 2 acres of land and agricultural use and change it into a housing development and say this is an improvement. I don't want that to be exempt from the stormwater bylaw because there's an exemption listed here. So that would be my concern.
Right, but that would then take the land out of agricultural use. That would be a different usage of the lands, which would be covered. I mean, our view is that the regulation 128 section 1A is quite adequate. There's no need for a qualifier of normal. It defines what agriculture is in the state of Massachusetts. That to me seems like the most appropriate as it was originally put in here, all-encompassing reference to agriculture rather than trying to squeeze some definition out of the environmental protection regulations that is narrowly defined in that context and not relevant to the overall agricultural activity. And so I disagree with your point there. I think if you've made a housing development, it would then be residential usage. It would not be agricultural usage, and this would not apply to that. I think you covered there already. This is just for agricultural activities. And without going into details, we're familiar with interpretations of vague language that can be very expensive for the farms in town, defending it, challenging it. We prefer to have clarity. So maintenance and improvement of land and agricultural use as defined by section 1A of 128 is our preference for this language.
Thank you. I do feel that the definitions that are in the CMR do bring the clarity that you're seeking. It's no longer an ambiguous interpretation. So I'm curious if the board has any other thoughts on the matter.
Well, I would say that also since stormwater is protecting environment and CMR 1004 is an environmental condition and being quite specific, kind of does underscore what Jonathan is looking for, which is a very specific definition of what can and can't be done, as opposed to having a more ambiguous definition of just straight movements and straight improvement. That's my point. Rob, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I would agree with Steph that the 310 CMR is appropriate. Section 1A basically doesn't have any restrictions of any type in it, as long as you're actually doing something agricultural. So it couldn't, I mean, you could pave a bunch of land or do something like that and still be using it in some agricultural way for storing equipment or something. And so I think it's reasonable as Steph has suggested.
But to get to that point, if you're paving the land for agricultural purposes, it's agricultural. Why would you want to restrict farms doing what they need to do to create agricultural activity in town here?
We wouldn't be looking to restrict farms from doing that. We would be looking for the stormwater to be managed appropriately if that level of paving were to be done. It's not stopping the activity. It's just requiring a permit to manage the stormwater to reduce pollution.
But farms should not be required to have permits for that. That's the whole point of the agricultural exemption, is to avoid expensive harassment and permitting of that type of farms.
Okay, I disagree with that. I think that if there was a significant paving impervious surface that was being installed, stormwater should be, I think it's in the farm's interest to manage the stormwater. But
I think this is another example of Sherborn overly regulating farms in town, and we disagree with it.
Let me ask another input, Brett.
No, I mean, I really don't think that this is intended to disturb agricultural operations. I mean, if anything, it would prevent a neighbor from paving a big, portion of their property that would then run off into your property. So I guess if there's specific examples of things that you do on a regular basis that are caught up under, the section that we propose to use versus the one that you do, then like we definitely want to know about that. But this is not. This is absolutely not meant to create additional regulatory burden for farms. As far as I know, I can't speak, I guess, for the rest of the board, but as far as I've conceived this is just to protect the land and the water for everybody, which you're farming, so you have at least as much of a vested interest as any of the rest of us.
Heidi?
So I think one thing I want to say is, yes, there are agricultural rights, but that it's not carte blanche. And I think that's something we have to remember. If there's things that could impact neighbors or things being done, and if there are reasonable solutions that be done, all that 310 CMR is giving us a long list of exceptions. There was almost 4 pages of exceptions to the stormwater activities. So I don't think it's to restrict agricultural, and I'm hoping people would be, that there's very few activities that would ever even rise to the level that would need to be addressed because there are so many exemptions on there for agricultural. But I do think that farms don't have an absolute carte blanche to do whatever they want. And I think trying to find that balance is going to be difficult. We're not going to make everyone happy. We're not going to make Jonathan happy because they would like to be able to do what they want without any regulations, but you've got to, a town's run by people who want to have some type of structure.
And if there is an activity that you anticipate that's not covered in CMR, like if there's a specific activity that you want added to the list of exemptions, that would be something that we could consider for sure, rather than writing a carte blanche.
Yeah, it's not intended to be burdensome, but there are intended to have some type of protection.
Jim?
I think we made our point.
Okay.
I doubt there's any merit in making any more points. So you guys have made your mind up.
Thank you. Jim?
No, I don't have anything further to add. Again, if we're referring to something that the standards are listed and it's pretty clear, then I would rely on that.
Okay. Is there any discussion from anybody else in attendance this evening outside of the planning board? Okay, hearing none. How would you like to proceed with this? Do we want to discuss this now within this, or do we want to move on to the other comments and changes and then vote them all at one time?
Sorry, Heidi, what is the schedule? Is the intention here to approve the final language? I know we just got some comments in on the stormwater bylaw very recently.
Right. So we had to send this to a consultant on the MS4 language to make sure that we were not, what any of the changes we're putting in would still be valid with the MS4 language for the EPA. And we just received this today, a bunch of comments from them, which we haven't even had time to really digest. We've run it through Joyce and Steph. So tonight I was hoping we could kind of just look and see where we stood on this whole document, what items were still left, and probably continue the meeting till next Tuesday, which would be our next meeting before we actually close this.
And which Tuesday is that? Is that not the 31st, right? I mean, it's not, February
Not in
doesn't have
February.
31.
March
Yeah.
3rd. March 3rd.
March 3rd.
Yeah.
And I think there's still language on enforcement agent to
Right, we
resolve
can
too.
discuss some of that tonight, but I really think that we need a little more time to digest the MS4 issues.
I agree.
And maybe Jonathan, if you have time to come up with something else that you think, we're happy to look at that too.
No, I think the original language, as we suggested, is what we prefer.
Okay. Okay.
Just take the word normal out. I don't think there's any need for it.
Okay. Steph, you want to just start at the front of the document? And just say, yes, we're down to this part?
Well, I didn't digest the consultant comments yet, so those might be throughout, but yes, I can do that. Let me share
Okay.
my screen.
Can I just confirm there's going to be no more discussion about the agricultural language and I can hop off the call?
I think we don't anticipate any more tonight. We can, if we start down that path, we can save it for the next time if that would be of interest to you.
It would. I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all for the consideration.
Thank you.
Yep, bye now.
Thanks.
I don't know, Heidi, how productive it would be to go from the beginning, kind of line by line.
Yeah. Just because I do think we need to fill in the other sections.
Yeah, I think it's just two main topics. One being enforcement and one being the consultant comments, which I guess is technically 4 topics. But so I think we can offline that with the subcommittee unless people really want to get into the details in a public meeting today. And just defer the vote. But I will note that this is going to be presented to the advisory committee. Have you been on those emails, Heidi? I think you have, right?
Yes, and I sent you a
tomorrow.
sample PowerPoint.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's something to share here if we want to talk about the PowerPoint.
Okay.
We can do that. But maybe for stormwater, like you said, let's just look at the PowerPoint. Let's move this over till your subgroup gets it and present us with the final version next week.
Okay. Joyce, will that work for you? Okay, thanks. Okay, so I can share up the PowerPoint. I guess before we do that, my one question is, you had provided an attachment for warrant language. Do we need to look at that?
Yes.
Okay, let me share that. Oh, I'm still sharing something. Who knows what I'm sharing? Let me share the warrant language that you sent.
So I guess the select board last week got into a discussion on our warrant language article, which I didn't know they were going to be discussing or going into, other than just noting the articles, because they're not set to sign it until this coming Thursday. So the first one, they didn't have a problem with. They know that the document is going to be with the town clerk, so they're fine with that language going in for them. The second one, they had some concerns. They wanted to add "as set forth below" in. I highlighted that in yellow. I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with. They just said the first time we're saying it's with the town clerk, they said this one we should make it very clear that the changes are listed below so that it's not with the town clerk or anywhere else. And then they had a discussion about the terms permissive when they talked about allowed. And the problem is the term permissive is all through, it's in our definition of 3.1. It's in throughout the table. You'd have to go and make all kinds of changes, many changes that will take up pages to add in here. And we're just, it's too late to kind of add all these changes in now when the select board's going to be signing on Thursday. So
I would also add to that they felt that the word permissive versus permitted was more in line of the issue there and what the definition of permissive was versus what the definition of permitted or allowed was. And I think that with Heidi pointing out the definition, and was it 310, did you say, Heidi?
it's 3.1.
Under 3.1, that there's a clear definition of permissive, which I think we point to that in our discussions with the select board, that should take that discussion off the table, because
I think it will, yeah.
this is a legacy term. This is not a new term that we're using just right now. And it's also defined.
Right. So just so people know what I'm reading, it's under 3.1A, we define allowed as use allowed by right, permissive, use by special permit granted by the Board of Appeals, the Planning Board, or other permit granting authority as provided by this bylaw, and prohibited as use prohibited by this bylaw. So it's very clear what those three terms are for. Thank you, Steph. You already got that up.
Yeah, so I think they were confused about the term permissive because it sounds colloquially like allowed,
Right,
but it's defined as requiring a permit,
right. So I
special
think,
permit. Yeah.
yeah, I think they were just looking at it out of the single context in the line. And if you start going, looking at our schedule of use, number 2, this use is permissive. We have so many things where the word is already used because we've defined that term. When they looked at it just in the single line context of what we're changing, they're like, oh, you got the wrong word. You mean permitted. And that's
There's a different meaning altogether.
right. So if in the select board, I mean, I'll go this next one Thursday, or Frank, if you're going to go, I think if we point out the terms are defined and it's like I said, it's a colloquial term that's been used for years in there.
It's a legacy term that's been used in there for years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
And if they really want to change it, then it goes into our zoning bylaw change overhaul, because you're going to be doing many things. But I think it'll go away once we point that out.
It's defined and that's clear.
Yeah. And
So
and then the only other thing they added in at the end was they wanted it to be select board for the planning board added, which I don't think anyone's gonna
That's
have.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a structure below the line, above the line, and
Right.
and they seem to have had the full text of the warrant article instead of just the shortened text. So we just need to make sure that we send them the thing that we really want them to have.
Right. So I think what Steph was showing earlier, if the yellow part as set forth below, we keep the permissive in, and we allow them to put select board on behalf of the planning board, select board for the planning board in.
And for the stormwater, it's just that paragraph that we're putting in, or 2 paragraphs. We're not putting in the full stormwater bylaw changes that we're proposing.
No, because we say it's on file with the town clerk.
So let's just make sure that they have that correct one, because when they were talking about it, it seemed like they had the entire bylaw changes that we had instead of just the paragraph on it.
Yeah, I don't know where that came, because I submitted this to Jeannie, so this is all they should be having in that one paragraph.
And it didn't seem like that's what they had, so we just,
Yeah.
could you just double check with Jeannie on that?
Yep.
Thank you.
So is everyone on board with those changes to meet the select board requirement?
Yeah, do we need to revote it, Heidi?
I would revote it to be safe.
Yeah, this is different because we already approved the warrant language, right?
Right.
Go ahead, Steph.
Okay, so I move to approve the revised warrant language based on the feedback from the select board meeting.
So you're talking about the warrant language on the miscellaneous zoning bylaw updates?
That's right.
Okay.
As discussed in this meeting.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jim,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
and I, Frank, will come aye as well. All right.
All right.
Okay, so that's the warrant language, and now I'm going to stop share and go to the PowerPoint because we are presenting this materially to advisory tomorrow, which we have not done. I mean, we did it at the hearing, I guess, at the public hearing. Oops, shoot, I shared the wrong thing.
You haven't shared anything yet.
No, I know, I just hit the wrong button. I'm getting there. Okay. So Heidi put together a slide deck. Thank you for doing that. Heidi didn't really have a chance to look at it before this meeting.
And I'm happy to present it tomorrow night if you want to present it. I don't really have anything, but I'm trying to keep it very simple. If we go to the next slide.
Yeah, so I wanted to potentially expand on this bullet a little bit because I think if we say like current MS4,
Yeah.
right? And then proposed adding
Addition of
other town drainage systems, groundwater, public streets, rights of way, and wetland. Ooh. Wetland.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we talk more about it. I was just trying to keep some simple terms, so that's great.
Oh, sorry. Like I almost wonder if this is like a table where it says current and then proposed. Because also on the permit levels, we could show 1 acre and then show the minor permit, half an acre, major permit, 1 acre, right?
I was doing that in the next one. This was trying to be just an overview saying we're presenting 2 articles to you, one on stormwater and one on housekeeping. And then on the next slides, I was trying to get into the more levels.
Okay. Yep.
I was trying to just give them a roadmap of where we were headed.
Sorry, bedtime in the house is unsupervised right now. Okay, so 3 permit levels, yep, and then
We're defining
terms and clarify enforcement. Yep, those are great. Administrative corrections. What were you referring to here?
The fact that we're 14A, we're making it permissive and allowable. They're getting those.
Okay, right, got it. Yep.
Yep. And adding the one section 240-4.5 and then the double asterisk and that, they were.
Yep. And then one deletion.
the deletion of a third ADU category.
Deletion. And this is under uses, right? So this is
table of uses. Yeah.
It's like the schedule of uses and the table.
It's both. Yeah. Essentially we're trying to let them know that we didn't, and I would go into this verbally more with them saying that we didn't realize that the low and moderate apartment was actually a third category of ADU. And when looking at the use, it was no longer needed because you can make anything. The other 2 categories can be low income. And we really were not looking to have a house that could have a special one and a protected use one and a low affordable income one. Also, in order to get this, you would need a 30-year deed restriction in order to have it count on the state's subsidized housing inventory, which was a requirement of our bylaw. And it could only be used for attached ADUs, not detached ADUs. So it hasn't been used. It seems very limiting, and there are other means when we added the protective use ADU in there.
Mm-hmm. And maybe this is another slide, honestly.
Yeah, you might want to split these two slides up now.
Only applies to, what did we say?
It's
Attached.
attached.
And then also, and I think we should say what it is. Third ADU category. It was the affordable
Low and
low and moderate
moderate.
income.
Yeah.
And this can be implemented with other, right? Like you can do it.
You can do it, right? Yeah.
Okay. So do you have a plan to because the rest of the bylaw is about the rest of the presentation is about the stormwater one, right?
Right.
So this is the only place where we're discussing the housekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we could put this whole thing onto a slide at the end or at the beginning. It says,
Yeah.
you know, article number
Right.
1, housekeeping items, and just
Yeah.
list these. Then article 2, and then
Go into
launch
it,
into
yeah.
the detail of the stormwater.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll probably wordsmith a little bit on these, but
Please do. I was just trying to throw things to start and get the concept. I mean, I think we need to ask them, like, why are we doing this?
yep. Why regulate stormwater? Why add land disturbance management?
These are the questions I would expect them to ask.
Okay.
And actually, this may end up being our, this should be the basis of our presentation, even for town meeting, I think.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
And for the Bloody Saturday.
Yeah, I think I want to emphasize on this that land disturbance is an appropriate trigger for managing stormwater for requiring appropriate and common, right? A lot of other
Yeah.
towns have it.
Right.
And I want to say, yep. Here's the goals of the proposed change. And I think we need to sort of say where we are today too, in addition to creating these, because right now we have
I do
that.
say that someplace, yeah, but not in this slide.
Okay. Oh yeah, you said it over here. No. There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
So I think I actually might combine these two slides, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Play with it a little bit.
And all these examples and those slides are online right now, so it's easier for them to see. So I didn't necessarily want to go into too much detail, but just to give them an idea, they can see the red that it's a smaller area for an addition, and let them know that they can look online to see better, see these in better format. But
When I was looking at this, one of the things I was thinking about is when you make the transition to the different types of water abatement, what the pictures you got on the at the very end.
Sorry, I'm not quite there yet. I think it would be good to say a major permit. So this major permit I remember because it had this really long driveway that was paved. And so the land disturbance was 3.1 acres. But I think we should show an example of a major permit where there's a new single family dwelling and it's a small footprint.
Okay, let's see if we can have one. Joyce, do you know any offhand that are? Oh, what about the one on Prospect, 81 Prospect?
We can come up with a couple. That wouldn't necessarily be considered,
A new.
I guess under the new regs, it would be considered a total tear down. So
Right, that's what I was thinking, because
Yeah.
they did tear down the house.
but I think we can come up with a couple that have small footprints that would be an example.
Okay. Okay. I'm just kind of another example of no permit. I was doing a little bit of exploring. Did I even write this? I know I wrote it down somewhere, but I think a basketball, like a basketball, like a regulation basketball court,
Oh,
Yep.
doesn't trigger. It's like,
Basketball or tennis court?
right, tennis court's even smaller. I looked that up too. So these kinds of improvements that people might be thinking of.
do you want to just list them on this slide?
Sure.
We can just say basketball court, tennis court.
This is a barn. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can list them. And then I was looking at a driveway, and if it was a 15-foot wide driveway to hit that 10,000 impervious threshold, it would need to be 670 feet long. So that's
might
a
be a good fact
long,
to put up,
long
too.
driveway. Yeah.
Yeah, might be good, like a couple of those facts added on those known permit slides might be, give them
Yeah.
context.
Okay. I just have to find where my math went. Okay. So
they'd know we're not always over-regulating.
yep. Okay. So in what format are these examples on the posted somewhere? This is the first time I've seen them, so I was just curious.
These are PDFs.
And they're just on the planning board website now?
I sent them to Heidi originally as a PDF.
They're posted as they're PDF.
Okay, and it says like no permit, and it just shows this example.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go on our website, you can look at it, but yeah.
That's okay. I'll do it later. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go past the examples. So we were going to add. Okay. So Frank, did you have something about administrative process down here after the examples?
So we go into the administrative process, and then after that, you show pictures of resolving erosion and so on. If you could show the pictures beyond this.
Well, I guess first, is there anything on this slide
No, mine was on the next slides after that. So if somebody else has a comment on that, and you then go with that first. My comments were beyond that.
See, I sort of feel like this should be meshed with like a reminder of like what the thresholds are, but
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then
it was getting late in the afternoon. I was trying to get something done.
Yep. No, this was just a quick turnaround. Silt fence. Okay. So what's your comments here? Rain garden.
So this
where do they come from? Why are they there?
So these were just examples of what Heidi said. Well, what might people, they might not know what we're thinking of. These would be things that the engineer would design, but these are examples of what they might utilize. Roof infiltration or a rain garden or something of that nature.
For a major permit.
For a major permit. And yeah,
this one's a minor.
That's
well,
a
this
minor.
This one's the minor one.
It could be minor, or that could be part of the major solution too.
Yes.
It just examples of infiltration solutions.
No, that's perfect. I'm just saying that you should title it. You maybe have one slide ahead of time saying examples of what engineers may come up with for the treatment of stormwater.
Yeah, I can frame it a little more. I think I would put roof infiltration first because that is a requirement of the minor permit and could be used in a major permit. And then these are all sort of more likely to show up in Well, it could show up anywhere really as a
I
condition.
wouldn't
But
have
it's
put
really,
that
it's just,
first.
these are just examples because they might not use a dry well, they might use a Caltech system, but that didn't,
Yeah.
it didn't look exciting enough to me.
Okay.
I think this scares people. If you said this was a minor permit and I saw that, I'd be going, oh my gosh, I'm not doing it. If I saw it, that's why I put the erosion control things first and the rain gardens. Those are things like, oh, that's pretty minor. I can handle doing that. You
And I
know,
Yeah,
wouldn't
I mean,
say
a rain
minor, yeah,
garden, a
I
rain
wouldn't say
garden.
minor. Yeah, I would just
Yeah,
say
you're right.
examples of
There's
stormwater
different
solutions.
ways. Yeah.
right, right. I was just trying to say what conditions could be imposed.
Or solutions for rain, not just not imposed, but
Right. So yeah, solutions.
solutions.
And there are a few other examples in the PowerPoint online. I just didn't put all of them in because I was trying to give them ideas and let the advisory members know they can go and look these things up to get more info. Because I was trying not to take up their time and I don't know what more they, how much they would want for our just explaining of our warrant article.
Okay. And then this is where we get into the housekeeping. So we
Yeah.
might have a new section break in here
Yeah.
and go through these things. Okay, that's straightforward.
And then maybe you should have a picture of that, what you have shown with the definition of the permissive, so that, because that would probably come up again.
Oh,
And that could be at the end. You don't necessarily need to do that right here, but if somebody brings up the question, then you have the slide that you can use to answer it with.
Yeah, we could put a backup slide so that if I need to
Yeah.
refer to it, I can.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Yep, this is a really good start. I would like to sort of play around with it a little bit.
Go to it.
Okay.
Totally happy with that, but
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to accomplish today, Heidi, with respect to the warrant articles?
no, I think that's it. I did tell Stephen Bonder that I would try to get him something late morning if he wants to distribute it. So I don't know what your timing is. And if you can't, I'm just going to say that we'll have to distribute it closer to the time. Depending what you need.
Well, I'll see what I can do tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Well,
I'll say if I haven't heard by
Happy-
noon, I'm just going to send him an email saying, sorry, we will get something, but we couldn't get it done yet. And he'll have it before the meeting.
Okay.
But
Thanks
no,
for-
nothing else. I'd say vote to continue the hearing.
I move that we continue the hearing to March the 3rd at 7:15, 7 o'clock. What time shall we move it to?
Why don't we do 7:30 because I do have an A&R that's going to come on for next week.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
It shouldn't take too much time, but
okay.
and I mean, if you want to say 7:15, we can say 7:15. This is a very straightforward A&R.
Let's do 7:15. I don't want to wait around for
That's
the
fine.
hearing to
Yeah.
start.
Yep. Nope. I think that's fine.
For 7:15, do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jim,
Aye.
Rob.
Aye.
Brett,
Hi.
Steph,
Aye.
and I, Frank, will come in on as well. Okay.
Good night.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Joyce.
Joyce.
Thank you, Joyce. Okay, next item on the agenda is
Oops.
annual town meeting timeline and warrant articles.
Which I think we can make that short because I think we've just discussed most of it in our hearing. So I think we're
Right.
set with that.
Are there any reports on meetings with other boards and entities?
Yeah, I have one, Frank. The caucus committee has been reaching out to probably a lot of us to identify a candidate for planning board to run in the election in the spring, since Frank is not going to renew his candidacy. I've reached out to a number of people in town and got the name of Chris Brown. He has joined us today. I spoke with him on the phone, and he's been on the meeting for the duration, sort of listening in. So I just Chris is it okay to give Chris a chance to sort of introduce himself? Heidi, is that within, or is that off
Yes.
agenda?
It's part of a board report, I guess we could say.
for the caucus nomination board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you want to have a period of public comment, Frank?
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, yeah, listen, I appreciate Steph dropping everything and talking to me. I think it was yesterday. We had a conversation. Yeah, there's clearly quite a learning curve to go along with this committee, judging from the breadth of subjects that you cover. And there certainly is, as I think Nora would confirm, having been on advisory, there's an awful lot to learn there too. But you get into the flow and you learn. Yeah, it's certainly very interesting stuff I would never have thought about. That I appreciate having a chance to listen. So thank you for letting me come.
All of us have faced that learning curve at some time or another.
Still are.
Yes, still are. It's a continual learning curve.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
It makes it also so enjoyable.
Yeah. So,
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, I would invite you to follow up with me or any other planning board members. We're all on different points on that learning curve. Some are newer to this whole deal than others. And encourage you to, make contacts as you see fit to sort of, investigate this opportunity a little more.
Or Chris or any other potential candidate that's thinking about this position, if they see this now or see this after.
That's right.
When you do go to caucus, there's two ways to get nominated. One is through taking out papers and getting signatures, and you get a certain number of signatures, basically 25, I believe, confirmed signatures. Normally you get more, just to make sure that all of them are confirmed. And that would be one way. You get that from the town clerk. And the other way is to go to caucus, which is happening, I'll tell you, give me 1 second.
March
March
5th.
5th at 7 p.m. And if you go there, usually a person nominates you. You do not nominate yourself, but you help that person nominating you by giving them some information about yourself, so that they can make a case for your vote. And then you're voted, and if there's somebody else there as well and it's contested, then you'll compete with one another. Whoever wins gets a caucus nomination, but that doesn't mean you still can't take out papers and also run an election program. And the final decision is at the polls in May, the first Tuesday of May. So
I attended a few caucuses in my time, particularly while I was on advisory and subsequent to that. So yeah, the format doesn't change.
It's information for you and anybody else that might be considering. So I'm glad you know it. Good.
I'm up again as well, and I notified there was someone from the caucus committee that reached out to me and asked if I'd be running again, in which I replied in the affirmative.
Yay.
And do you need a formal nomination at caucus? I don't recall.
I do.
Okay, great.
You could ask if a planning board member would.
I will gladly do that unless there's other takers.
Thank you, Stephanie. That's fantastic.
Okay. Any other business?
So that's just one of the two seats, though. We have another seat that is available for and open for a candidate, just to be 100% clear. Okay.
And I'm still learning as well. There is a learning curve, particularly with the bylaws and references and they refer to each other, and looking for conflicts between those things.
And it's clear that so many things are intertwined, knowingly or unknowingly, until you start digging in
But it's fun. We had a busy agenda last year. In particular, we got the ADU language through, and then the MBTA Communities Act 3A. That was a big part of what we're doing, and informing people about that. So it's fun. That stuff can be pretty fun and rewarding. So.
And recently before that, we actually even brought in the roundabout. So the job varies and the projects vary. It's not just bylaw work. Okay. Steph, did you
I'm
have any
sorry,
other
Steph, did you say there's another seat? Is somebody else?
No, it's just Jim and Frank.
Jim
Oh,
and Frank. So
But Jim is also in. Okay.
Jim
so
is
Frank,
Jim is going to run again, so I offered to do his caucus, but I just
Okay.
wanted to clarify that that's not the seat that I was talking to Chris about.
Right.
That there's Frank's seat is also in this election.
Yeah.
I only have a 2-year term. I don't know why it's different, but
I think you had a 2-year term because someone left.
oh,
Yeah.
That will comply with normal town
Yeah.
habits.
Chris Owen had resigned,
I see.
so it was the remainder of his term.
I see.
Yeah. So
But
this
this
will
would be
for a
for
3-year
3.
term.
Mhm.
And Frank, are you resigning or is your term
No,
expiring?
this is my term expiration, so
Okay, so they will both be 3 years.
they'll both be 3 years, yeah.
And
With a 5-member board, you have 2, 1, 1.
Yeah, and I think the way they do that at the caucus is if both terms are for the same duration, then they just have one nomination for both. So if there's 3 people get nominated, there's just a runoff between the 3. There's not nominations for the 2 separate seats.
That's correct. Same as on the ballot. There's one pool of candidates on the ballot and it says select up to 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be happy to share the caucus nominations too. I definitely don't need to, I think it always shows good board support if there's multiple people from the board nominating candidates. So I'm happy to share that if anyone else wants to reach out and figure it out, can do that.
Great.
Steph, did you have another item that you were going to discuss, or was that your item?
That was my item yep, that's good for now.
For the report with meetings on with other boards and entities. Does anybody else have any reports on meetings with other boards or entities?
I do not.
Hearing none. Steph, do you have a town planner report?
That would be Heidi.
Steph, go ahead.
Let's go with it. Heidi.
So we will have an A&R for 250 Western coming on next week. It's a very straightforward one. The one difference is it's one parcel has a ZBA variance because it was 3 feet short at the 60-foot setback line. And they did get a variance from the ZBA to make it to allow that lot. The other lot that they're dividing off is fully in compliance. So I'll be sending out the documents and posting them, but it's does not have anything crazy going on with it. There is interest again in 90 Maple. We've been hearing so that is the 90-acre parcel, and many different iterations have come through. Nothing formal again, but not someone else doing an informal proposal for a spiritual center with housing. So we will see what that goes and if they decide to pursue it further. And we had our first meeting with the zoning bylaw. We'll have another one coming up this week. So hopefully there'll be more to report. I'll save that all for the next meeting. And that's it.
You said we had a first meeting with the zoning zoning bylaw consultant. Okay.
Yes. And they did a nice general audit overview and really already came up with some areas that we should be looking at. And so it was very encouraging. I think it's going to be going in the right direction.
Great.
just an example, if someone wants to know our inclusionary zoning, they were comparing it, looking at other towns, like why isn't ours working for like our open space developments? And part of it is other towns offer density bonus, which we do not offer. And other ones have 50% versus 60% open space. So there are some other things that I think they're going to give us some food for thought and things to think about.
That was discussed very explicitly at the time of the affordable housing bylaw. So, but we can discuss it again, right? That's the whole
Yeah,
point of a turning over bodies and thinking about things with different perspectives. So,
especially because no one's using it. That's a problem. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's it for mine.
Okay, do we have any other topics to discuss this evening? Hearing none, I make a motion that we close this meeting at 8:31 p.m. on February the 24th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Steph,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye. Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
my friend Kim and I as well. Well, thank you, everybody. Chris, thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening. We'll see you in a week.